On 5 News, a horror train crash in New Jersey. At least 3 people are dead after a packed commuter train ploughed into a busy platform at rush hour. More than 100 have been injured, many of them seriously. We'll have the very latest. Also, a shocking sexual assault on a teenage girl. Police are now hunting for 2 men who snatched her from a busy street as she walked to school.
As a parent myself, I know how difficult this is for people and how shocking this is. It's important that I do everything I can with my team to make sure we catch these people as quickly as possible.
The moment a 5-year-old girl is rescued from the rubble in Aleppo. A big rise in mental health illness. 1 in 6 of us will suffer, with young women the highest risk.
Our dialects and accents
make us who we are.
But the way we speak is changing.
And some voices could be lost.
So is Britain's rich tapestry of accents about to become a thing of the past? Welcome to 5 News, I'm Matt Barbette. A huge operation by the emergency services in the US is underway after a packed commuter train ploughed into a busy platform at rush hour. At least 3 people have been killed and more than 100 have been injured in the disaster in the state of New Jersey. The aftermath is being described by witnesses as a horror scene. Danny Sinha has the latest.
This was the horror commuters faced in New Jersey during this morning's rush hour. Calls for help could be heard as people tried to make sense of what had just happened. Instead of stopping at the end of the track, the train appears to have smashed right through the buffer onto the train concourse, collapsing a section of the roof on its way. One passenger who was lucky enough to escape the wreckage told us what she saw.
And once we got off, we noticed that people were stuck and they had to come out through the windows. The police were trying to rescue them, and the conductor came off and he was completely bloodied, and that's when we started to notice that there were more injuries.
Emergency services are dealing with a major incident here, with many passengers thought to be still trapped inside. A makeshift hospital has been set up at Hoboken Station as medics try to deal with the scale of this disaster. Many are being treated for serious injuries. A hospital spokesperson gave us the latest.
There are 3 serious patients with orthopedic injuries, some internal injuries, and some deep lacerations. They are being treated by our trauma surgeons as we speak. In addition, there are a handful of other patients who are currently being evaluated for their injuries.
As people come to terms with this tragedy, it still remains unclear what caused this accident.
There were approximately 250 people on the train this time of day. It was the 838 going to 838 into Hoboken Terminal. We're still determining the cause of the accident. I'm not going to stand here and guess.
This is normally one of the busiest stations travelling into New York City from New Jersey. But today it's unrecognisable. The walking wounded grateful that they managed to get out alive. Danny Sinha, 5 News.
In broad daylight, on a busy morning, a teenage schoolgirl was snatched off the street in Oxford. She was found several hours later knocking on doors over a mile away, having been the victim of a serious sexual assault. Police are now looking for 2 men and say people who saw the abduction may not have realised what they were witnessing, as Simon Viger reports.
It didn't matter that it is a busy road. It didn't matter that it was daylight. A 14-year-old girl was abducted and then raped more than once. Hours later, police were called by a member of the public where the girl had knocked on doors.
You'd have thought she would be completely safe at that age. Absolutely horrendous.
I mean, it's terrifying. I've got 2 teenage daughters, and one of whom's with me here, and both of them travel to school on the bus using a route that goes right by where it happened.
Horrific. There's no words to describe it, is there? Dreadful.
The only description of the 2 attackers so far is that they are white men. The girl was abducted at about 8:25 yesterday morning as she walked to school. It was daylight on the busy Marston Ferry Road in the Summertown area of Oxford. Police say she was raped by more than 1 man, probably in their car. 3.5 hours later, the girl was found a mile away on Cavendish Drive. She was knocking on doors, trying to get help.
As a parent myself, I know how difficult this is for people and how shocking this is. I'm not sure she was dragged into the vehicle. I think that she was approached and possibly hugged. So it may be that somebody's seen something that looks relatively innocent, but actually it wasn't. No, I don't believe that the victim knew the attackers at all. There's nothing to suggest that's the case.
The schoolgirl is traumatised, so understandably, information is in short supply. But at this stage, detectives say they believe this terrible attack was random.
Simon's with me now. What else are the police saying, Simon?
Well, the vehicle was a small silver hatchback, Matt, possibly a VW, and police are urging any motorists with dash cams, any cyclists with head cams who were in the Summertown area yesterday morning to give them the footage, because that could hold vital clues. They're not linking this yet to an assault on a 19-year-old woman recently, but they are increasing patrols and they're asking parents to tell their children to walk around in groups.
OK, Simon, many thanks. British police searching for the missing toddler Ben Needham in Kos say they found evidence of decomposition at the dig site. The 21-month-old toddler disappeared in 1991 while on holiday on the Greek island. Detectives are exploring the theory that he may have been accidentally crushed to death by a digger. Barnsley Football Club have sacked their assistant manager after allegations he accepted £5,000 to help fake investors profit from transfers. Video filmed by undercover reporters allegedly shows Tommy Wright accepting an envelope full of money. It is part of the Daily Telegraph's investigation into corruption that also led to Sam Allardyce standing down as England manager. And the Trade Secretary says a post-Brexit Britain should still expect to enjoy free trade with the European Union. As he visited an aviation company in Manchester, Liam Fox said it was in the interest of EU countries not to impose tariffs on the UK after it leaves the Union. Soaring numbers of young women are suffering from mental health issues such as depression or anxiety. A major new study has also found that a quarter of women aged 16 to 24 have self-harmed, more than double the rate than in young men. Mental health charities say the figures show nothing has improved, with social media heaping even more pressure on girls. Dominic Reynolds reports.
It's a rare snapshot of what's happening inside our heads. The most detailed survey of England's mental health in a decade. And it's revealed 1 in 6 people showing signs of a mental health problem. For women, it goes up to 1 in 5. For young women, it's higher still, a quarter of under 25s.
I was bullied at school. I was quite socially isolated for a number of years.
Jasmine struggled with depression and anxiety since she was 12. Now in her 20s, she says she sees it in more and more of her female friends.
All the women I know feel like they're under a huge amount of pressure in every kind of way, both in terms of education, in terms of work, in terms of relationships, in terms of their appearance. I feel I don't know many women who are at all happy with their lives.
Women have long reported higher levels of mental health problems, but the gender gap has widened in the latest figures. From the outside, you can't see what's going on the inside. The idea of this research is every 7 years to try and build up a really accurate picture of problems that would otherwise be invisible. Getting that data is painstaking. 7,500 people were interviewed face-to-face for 3 hours. So why did young women in particular report more problems?
People certainly have been looking at the social media context in which young people are growing up in now. That could well be a factor. There are other things that could be a factor too.
We're now seeing the first generation who grew up alongside social media. Is how we communicate affecting how we feel? Researchers today said that's a connection which needs investigating. Dominic Reynolds, 5 News.
It's happened again, but it is no less shocking. Another young child has been filmed being rescued from the rubble of a bombed-out building in the Syrian city of Aleppo. This time, the dramatic video shows a 5-year-old girl being saved, and she's thought to be the sole survivor of an airstrike which destroyed a 5-storey building. A warning that Ruth Liptrott's report contains images that some viewers may find upsetting.
Somewhere inside this building, a child is screaming. To get to her, the Syrian Civil Defence Rescue Team, known as the White Helmets, will have to drill through walls and smash through rubble for 4 hours. Her name is Ghazal Qasim. She's 5 years old and she's been buried alive in the latest airstrike. She's crying out for her mama, but we don't know whether her family are alive or dead. The desperation is clear to see. There's not a second to lose. Finally, they free her. Covered in dust, her eyes tightly shut against the light and against the world, a rescuer strokes her hand to try to comfort her.
Thank God we managed to take her out. When we were pulling her out, she was screaming, "Oh God, oh my Father, hold my hand." And I felt that it was like my daughter. And I was scared that a rock would fall down on her and kill her.
Carefully, they carry her out of the building so she can be taken to hospital, a rescuer still holding on tight to her hand. The motto of the White Helmets is, whoever saved a life, he saved the whole people. 24 people died in this strike, but Ghazal will live. Ruth Liptrot, 5 News.
Still to come on the programme. The long lens of the law, how body cameras are transforming policing. And could regional accents soon be a thing of the past? Or the past? All that and more after the break. Welcome back. You're watching 5 News. There is even more controversy surrounding the national inquiry into historical child sex abuse after its top lawyer was suspended from duty. It is yet another setback for the inquiry, which has already seen 3 women quit as chair since it was set up just 2 years ago. Our political editor Andy Bell has the latest.
This inquiry is huge. Its remit includes investigating almost all public and some private institutions in England and Wales, from churches to government departments to individual politicians, and it stretches back decades. Now its top lawyer, Ben Emmerson, has been suspended. An official statement saying simply there were concerns about his leadership, which are now being investigated. He had no comment today. Some of those representing alleged victims of abuse are worried.
It's certainly a setback for the inquiry, but it can survive, and moreover it must survive for the confidence of victims and survivors have been failed in the past.
But the fact is, a lot of people say it's very big, it's too big, it's trying to do too much, it's going to take too long. Isn't it time at least maybe to try and slim it down a bit?
Well, it is big and it is enormous, but then so is the scale and scope of child abuse in institutional settings.
Our priority must be the prosecution of the people behind these disgusting crimes.
It was Theresa May as Home Secretary who set up the inquiry 2 years ago. Since then, it's had plenty of troubles. One after the other, 3 chairs for the inquiry resigned before the current chair, Alexis Jay, took over. And the inquiry's already spent £15 million, and it's not expected to report for another 10 years. Raymond Stevenson is the spokesperson for survivors of abuse at the children's care home he attended. He believes this inquiry must be radically overhauled before he can trust it.
Right now, what we've seen is just chaos. We've got people who were abused many years ago believing that they're going to get justice, and now every time a new person comes, resigns or fails, then that's like a stab in the heart for those people.
5 News understands tension between Ben Emmerson and the chair, Alexis Jay, are at the heart of his suspension. But today the government's insisting, despite this and concerns over the scale and scope of the inquiry, it will go ahead.
Plenty of people will be disappointed to hear this, Andy, but we're just hearing of another setback. What is it?
Yes, in the last few minutes it's been confirmed that a junior counsel, in other words, someone working to Ben Emmerson, has also resigned. Elizabeth Piotrowska was junior counsel. She resigned about 10 days ago, but it's only just been confirmed now. So you put that together with the suspension of Ben Emmerson, and it's starting to look as if the legal department attached to this inquiry is in some difficulty. Now, we've also had a statement from the inquiry itself, and I'll just read you a bit from it. And it's quite telling, I think. It says, "It has been said that the inquiry is in crisis. This is simply not the case." And you always feel that if people are having to say we are not in crisis, then something is not going particularly well. But the statement from them continues and says, "We have an excellent team of solicitors and barristers working for the inquiry, and we are currently reviewing our approach to our investigations." So there are clearly difficulties going on there, but the inquiry is saying we are going to get to the end of this inquiry, and they are, it seems, reviewing the way they are operating.
Thanks, Andy. An increase in the use of body cameras by the police has led to a huge drop in complaints being made against them. A new study's found that wearing the technology changes the way that officers behave and the way suspects do as well. Warren Nettleford has more details.
Handcuffs, notebook, baton, and now a body camera. This technology is fast becoming an essential tool for officers. This is PC Susan Burberry. We joined her and her camera on the beat in Huntingdon. Researchers believe these cameras are rapidly transforming policing.
Hello, gents.
Hello.
So when I turn it on, it will come up with a picture in a sec, it'll start.
How do you feel about seeing an officer wearing one of these body cameras?
I don't have a problem with it. What came out this morning is people act differently when they're on television. They generally, things seem a bit calmer and what have you.
And it seems officers have noticed a change.
Because we film a lot of incidents that we go to, we can use that as evidence later on. So if it's required for court or that type of thing, we're able to show that footage, and it protects us because it's shown what we've done and made sure we've done our jobs properly. And also it can show what's actually happened or the behaviour of somebody else.
And hard evidence by Cambridge University found a 93% decrease in complaints made against officers who now wear body cameras compared to the previous year. It seems the knowledge of just being watched is drastically transforming the interactions between the police and the public. Behaviour on both sides is being moderated. In the United States, the use of body cameras is currently centre stage following several high-profile police shootings. Campaigners on both sides of the Atlantic want greater police accountability. In Cambridgeshire today, the public agreed.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely a good thing. Like, I think a lot of people, because they don't like police, don't they? You know, they might say that you're doing something you're not, so that, like, again, that just protects you, doesn't it?
We will feel safe. Oh, we are here, they have cameras, it's more secure.
But not all officers have cameras. Researchers want government funding to ensure they all can. Warren Nettleford, 5 News.
And Britain's most senior police officer has announced he is retiring after 5 years as head of Scotland Yard. Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Bernard Hogan-Howe will remain in his post until next February, when a successor will be appointed. In a statement, he said he'd loved his time protecting good people and locking up the bad guys. From Brummie to Cockney, Geordie to Scouse, the UK has a rich tapestry of regional voices, but experts are predicting that within 50 years they could die out, kick the bucket, or even snuff it, depending on where you are. Peter Lane reports.
Our dialects and accents
make us who we are.
But the way we speak is changing.
And some voices could be lost.
Those voices, like traditional Brummie, Scouse and Geordie, are being diluted by our use of text, speak and MLE. It's not a chemical, it's multicultural London English, the geographic spread of words like dis, bruv and innit. The researchers' handy map shows examples like good old Manchester becoming Manchester. A Brummie singer softening on stage to singer. Down south, think definitely becomes fink, and north of the border, local slang like barnpot and clarty may vanish.
Overall, the biggest change that we've predicted is a kind of homogenisation of English, in the sense that the old dialects, the traditional dialects, mainly of the countryside, are starting to fade away, but they're being replaced by new, innovative dialects.
English speech has always adapted. Check out the reporter and his interviewees in this old newsreel.
And if you're the type that likes chips with everything, they cater for you too. I asked some visitors why they chose a camping holiday.
Well, I think being away from the everyday things.
Oh, the rain was coming down by the bucket load.
That was then. Future chinwag changes and which accents or phrases we say goodbye to are up to you.
Goodbye.
See you later. Cheerio.
Peter Lane, 5 News.
Was that Johnny Depp at the end there? That's it from us for now. I'll be back, though, at 6:30 with 5 News tonight. We'll have the very latest live from the scene of that train crash in New Jersey in the States. Plus, I'll be asking how much influence social media is having on our mental health. Some experts say it's distorting our view of the world so much that it's fueling anxiety, eating disorders and stress as well. Michelle Welby's got the weather next. I'll see you again at 6:30. For now, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.